Alright, so today I'm going to take you through how to convert between a Salsa Cassidy and a Salsa Blackthorn. Specifically, how to swap out the rear linkage and the rear shock. I'm not really going to worry about the fork. You have to switch it out to match the travel numbers, but there's lots of videos about installing forks. The absolute first thing you're going to want to do is hang your bike up in a stand and remove the rear wheel. That's going to take weight off of the rear shock and make it easy to unload. You do not need to depressurize the shock. It'll come out no problem. And the shock is just held on by these two bolts. So we're going to remove those first and get the shock out of there. Once you've got those two bolts removed, you're going to slide the front of the shock up. You're going to pull it out gently, real gently. Get it over to one side and pull it out. Now be mindful of these two pieces. These are part of the linkage, and these are what, this is your flip chip, right? So they have a high and a low position, and they're what the shock actually mounts on. So just catch these when you pull it out. They're not really attached to anything. They just kind of slide right out of the shock, and set these aside for when we remount. Now if we're working on the actual links, we're gonna loosen a number of bolts. I like to take a microfiber towel and run it between this guy and the frame, just to protect the frame from any bumps. All right, so the next bolts we're gonna work on are gonna be these four. 1, 2, and the same on the other side. It's just a 5mm Allen key. And I'm gonna remove this link first, the actual link that attaches to the shock. So now we've removed the shock link. Next we're going to remove the control link. So it has a main pivot bolt here, which we're going to remove last. And I'm going to start by removing these two, which again, just a 5mm Allen key. These bolts are actually the exact same bolts as the ones that hold the two links together, and they are interchangeable. Now to remove the last bolt, we're removing this main shock bolt. You're going to need a 6mm Allen key and a 15mm socket. 15mm socket goes on this end. 6mm goes right in there. And alright, so now we've got everything disassembled. So I just want to show you. You can see this is what the linkage piece looks like. There's sort of these sets of slots, right? The bearings are built into the links themselves, and this is how it all fits together. And when you're taking these apart, it's a really great time to take advantage of cleaning. I mean, you can see that my bike is a little bit dirty. You can see there's a little bit of grime in here as well. So I usually clean these really thoroughly with a cloth every time I take them off, and then re-grease it as I'm assembling. It's pretty rare that you get, such easy access to this part of the frame as well, so it's just a great time to clean everything up before you put it all back together. So the first step for now installing the Blackthorn components is going to be to put the new control link on. So I'm going to put just a little bit of grease around where the bearings sit. And just as a reminder, if you purchase this set from Salsa, it comes with all the bearings already installed. To reinstall, I'm going to take the control link, come from inside the frame, straddle the frame, and then we're going to use these notches and just slide it down over the mounting point. Now it's free to pivot. And the first bolts I'm going to install now are the same as the last ones we removed before. So it's going to be attaching the link to the seat stays. So same thing, I applied a little bit of grease in there. We're going to use those slots, slot it together, and now I'm going to install the main pivot bolt as well as these two bolts. All right, so now that this control link is installed, we're going to install the shock link. Just as a note, I don't torque these bolts down until I've installed everything. That way, I feel like I'm not putting too much kind of weird twisting force on anything, right? I want all the linkage to be in place before I start applying torque. So this guy just comes from inside the frame, slides around, and then slots right in over there. Pretty straightforward. This is the orientation you want with these little angled bits kind of facing that way, because you're going to be threading the shock mount bolt in from on top. All right, so now we're going to reinstall the shock. Now don't forget about these two guys. This is the shock mounting hardware that's also your flip chip. I like mine in the high position, so you're going to put one down there, front high. Make sure they're matching, and both the top and the bottom piece are oriented the same way if you want it high or low. So making sure you have those two pieces in place. That's just going to slide right into that link, nice and gentle. And then got the bolt that we've now cleaned and re-greased. Come down through the top, make sure it's aligned, and get that thread going. All right, now before I tighten this one down all the way, I'm just going to install the front bolt as well, so it's not wiggling all around everywhere. All right, so that wraps up the process of swapping out the linkage. So again, it's three pieces, right? You have a control link, the shock link, and of course you need a different shock. Salsa has great documentation on their website, which I'll link kind of down to everything in the description. I'm gonna now go ahead and torque all these bolts now that everything is installed. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I got this bike, right? I love being able to switch between the Blackthorn and the Cassidy configuration. All in, to swap out the shock and the linkage as well as the fork, it usually takes me roughly an hour. So it's not something I want to do every day, but for a couple times a season, if I want to go to the bike park, it's been super worth it, and it's just fun to experiment. So if you're somebody who likes to tinker, having two bikes in one is a lot of fun. So yeah, thanks for watching.